4% of GDP. Pakistan exports continue to be dominated by cotton textiles and apparel despite government diversification efforts. Exports grew by 19.1% in FY 2002 to 2003. Major imports include petroleum and products, edible oil, chemical fertilizer, capital goods, industrial raw materials, and consumer products. While the country has a current account surplus in both imports and exports have grown rapidly in recent years, it still has a large merchandise trade deficit. The budget deficit is official year 2004 to 2005 was 3.4% of GDP. The budget deficit in official year 2005 to 2006 is expected to be over 4% of the GDP. Economists believe that the soaring trade of deficit would have an adverse impact on Pakistani rupee by depreciating its value against dollar and other currencies. By the word official deficit, here we mean the official deficit is a shortfall in a government's income compared with its spending. The government that has official deficit is spending beyond its means. By the word horticulture, we means the art or practice of garden cultivation and management. If we look at the importance of horticulture, we came to know that horticultural forms an integral and important component in the economy of a nation. Horticultural crops constitute a significant segment of the total agricultural productions of a country. The importance of horticulture can be substantiated by its benefits like high export value, high per unit area yield, high returns per unit area, best utilization of waste land, provision of raw material for industries, etc. Tourism. Tourism is the activities of people traveling to and staying in places outside their usual environment for leisure, business, or other purposes for not more than one consecutive year. It is one of the fastest growing sectors of the world economy. Tourism development may promote economic growth both directly and indirectly. First, by stimulating the growth of other sectors, and second, by increasing domestic incomes and effective demands. Role of education in the economic development. Education. Education क्या है? What is education? The process of receiving or giving systematic instructions, especially at a school and university, is called education. Now let's have a look at role in its economic development. Till recently, economists have been considering physical capital as the most important factor determining economic growth and have been recommending that rate of physical capital formation in developing countries must be increased to accelerate the process of economic growth and raise the living standards of the people. But in the last 3 decades, economic research has revealed the importance of education as a crucial factor in economic development. Education refers to the development of human skills and knowledge of the people or labor force. It is not only the quantitative expression of educational opportunities but also the qualitative improvement of the type of education which is imparted to the labor force that holds the key to economic development. Because of its significant contribution to economic development, education has been called as human capital, and expenditure on education of the people and as investment in the man or human capital. Now, what are the objectives of education? The following are the objectives of education. Number one, to complete the socialization process. The first and the foremost objective of education is to complete the socialization process. Though family is a great source of socialization, yet in modern times it leaves much undone in the socialization process. A sociologist explains the failure of the family to develop attitudes of responsibility in children in the following words. The situation has arisen partly because of our shift to urban life and to what the sociologist calls secondary group organizations of society, that is society marked by the disappearance of home and garden. The predominance of specialization of occupation, individualization of choices as to friends, religions, life form, life and forms of recreation, and a general touch and go, impressional kind of social contact. Life in our cities as compared to country and village life of a few generations ago is superficial. Number two, transmission of cultural heritage. Secondly, education should aim at the transmission of cultural heritage. By cultural heritage mean the knowledge of the past, its art, literature, philosophy, religion, and music. Though history textbooks and indirectly through celebration of patriotic holidays, the child is acquainted with his cultural heritage. However, it is only at high levels of education that any serious attempt is made to realize this objective. Number three, reformation of attitudes. Thirdly, education should aim at the reformation of attitudes wrongly formed by the children already. Within his family group, the child often comes to absorb a host of attitudes, beliefs, loyalties, and prejudices. To reform these beliefs and prejudices is the function of education. Though the school cannot do much in this respect, and as the attendance of the child is in the school is intermittent, yet it should continue its efforts for his attitude formation. Number 4, occupational placement. Education has a utilitarian end. It should prepare the adolescent for earning a livelihood. Education should enable him to do a productive task and earn enough for himself and his family. It should make the young person a citizen who produces to the limits of his natural and acquired capacities. The youth should be enabled to play a productive role in the society. Number 5, to install the sense of competition. The school's main emphasis is upon personal competition. For each subject studies, each child is compared with his companions by percentage of marks or division. The teachers praises those who do well and frowns upon those who do not do well. The school not only ranks all those within its walls but also sifts its raw material, passing some and rejecting others on the basis of intelligence and diligence. It thus acts as a social selector. Now let's have a look at the economic issues of Pakistan. Some of our common economic problems with accelerating economic growth, economists are now emphasizing a different range of problems. Or some of the economic problems are capitalism at its extreme, taxpayers, no budget implementation, external loans, political instability, no implementation of foreign aid, and inflation. Pakistan's economy continued to face challenges of fiscal policy, monetary policy, power crisis, law and order situation, low export and high import, and lack of tourism. Fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is the means by which the government adjusts its spending and revenue to influence the broader economy by adjusting its level of spending and tax revenue. The government can affect the economy by either increasing or decreasing economic activity in short terms, and the main objective of official policies are to sustain economic growth, reduce poverty, job creation opportunities, investment in physical and human capital. And monetary policy will have to play an active role in moving the country towards better economic management. Foreign reserve currency printing of rupees is also a problem and create inflation. Monetary policy impacts the money supply in an economy, which influences interest rates and the inflation rate. It also impacts business expansion and exports. Business expansion, net exports, employment, the cost of debt, and the relative cost of consumption versus saving, all of which directly or indirectly impact aggregate demand. Power crisis is the most significant problem which has affected the growth of state adversely. It is the largest single drain of Pakistan's economy. This crisis stems from a fuel mix transformation initiated 2 decades ago when power generation came to rely more on imported furnace oil than hydropower. The law and order, a situation characterized by respect for and obedience to the rule of a society, is law and order. By law and order is also known as tough on crime and the war on crime, and it is demand for a strict criminal justice system, especially in relation to violent and property crime, through stricter criminal penalties. And through these, we can uh, take control over inflation, poverty, unemployment, and decline in investment. Modern training may be important to police force to combat terrorism, and law and order may prove fruitful in such conditions. Low export and high import. If a country imports more than its export, it runs a trade deficit. If it imports less than it exports, that create a trade surplus. When a country has a trade deficit, it must borrow from other countries to pay for the extra imports, and due to which we would be economically weaker. Lack of tourism. Tourism plays an important role in the economy, and especially if it is a developing country. Huge amount of foreign reserves can be earned from it without much investment. But unluckily, in Pakistan there is lack of tourism, and due to which there is not development in economy from tourism commodities, which is an important commodity sector. And conclusion, Pakistan and its people has a lot of potential and are blessed with a lot of natural resources. If the government plans wisely and the people work hard, the economy of Pakistan can be taken to a new level. And that's all. Thank you so much for your kind attention.